Hi, it's Anita Posch from Bitcoin and Co., where you can keep up to date with topics related to Bitcoin on a global stage and the local impact it has on communities and regular people. Subscribe to my YouTube channel now to watch interesting interviews with people from the industry and other Bitcoin related videos. If you prefer to listen to podcasts, you can find all the episodes in your favorite podcast player. And every Friday, I release Anita's Weekly, my newsletter covering the most interesting stories in Bitcoin from my point of view. You can find all the links at anita.link/subscribe. And now, a short word from my sponsors. Searching for a solid Christmas present for your beloved ones? Running out of time till Christmas? I have a great gift idea. The Card Wallet Christmas Edition brought to you by Coinfinity. The best way to gift your loved ones an easy and secure Bitcoin storage. Read more on hohodl.com and enjoy premium shipping until Christmas. Want to buy and sell your Bitcoin in an easy, fast and secure way? LocalBitcoins is one of the most trusted and the largest peer-to-peer Bitcoin trading platform in the world. Go to localbitcoins.com and trade directly with people like you. Shift Crypto has the perfect starter bundle kit for Bitcoin self-custody, a BitBox O2 together with aging-resistant backup cards. Get additionally 10% off with the coupon code ANITA when you are in the checkout at anita.link/bitboxo2. Plans for 2021? The Bitcoin 2021 conference will take place in Los Angeles at the end of April. Find out more at b.tc/conference. Okay, hello everybody. Today I have a special guest from LocalBitcoins here with me. LocalBitcoins is the world's biggest peer-to-peer marketplace for Bitcoin and also a sponsor of my show. Thank you for that. It's a pleasure to work with you. Hello, Jukka Blomberg.
Hey there. Thanks for having me here. Pleasure to be here.
Hello, Jukka. Are you located in Finland?
I'm located in Finland, and we have our headquarters in Helsinki. Actually, currently I'm in our office. We have a fairly big office, but because of the COVID lockdowns, I think I'm one of the only ones here today. Just want to come here to have a good connection. It would be sad to be home with broken connections and screaming kids and stuff like that.
Yeah. Jukka, you're the Chief Marketing Officer at LocalBitcoins, and we are going to talk about your findings on Bitcoin usage in Latin America and your personal Bitcoin story and what Chinese stocks have to do with it, and about how people can use Bitcoin and start using LocalBitcoins and much more. Jukka, LocalBitcoins has about 6 million customers worldwide and is operating in 189 countries. How does it work? How does it feel to be working for a company that is offering a worldwide entry into a new financial world?
It feels really good. Obviously, this is I couldn't even imagine a better job, better company to work for. If you think about what Bitcoin is all about, it's kind of enabling access to financial system. It's really kind of bringing new perspectives for people who haven't had access to a financial system, global financial system, and it's really improving people's lives. And obviously, we are looking for, let's say, Latin America, Africa, so forth. I think that's the place where Bitcoin can make the biggest impact. And obviously, LocalBitcoins is really focused on the emerging markets. So this is truly an exciting place to be working. And I learn every day so much new. It's just amazing. I thought that I understand this business, I understand Bitcoin, I understand this industry, but since joining LocalBitcoins, I can tell you that there's so much for me to learn new things. It's just amazing.
Yeah, every day there's something new. Tell us a little bit more about the person Jukka Blomberg. What, what was the path that led you to LocalBitcoins?
Yeah, it's a long path, but overall, I mean, I have been working on a big corporations, Nokia, Microsoft, so forth. I have been an entrepreneur, and as far as I remember, I have always been interested on investing. Uh, Starting from stocks, then going for gold and so forth, and uh, early this year, like, well, if we go to the crypto world, I did get interested on cryptos quite late, I would say 2017, 2018. But already like 2012, when I was investor, or a small investor, invested whatever extra money I could save to stocks and gold stocks and so forth. I was listening these gold investor seminars, freedom festivals, whatever. They used to be very much gold focused, but on 2012 you could start hearing lots of people starting to talk about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and so forth. And I mean, I went and tried to study Bitcoin. I didn't understand anything, so unfortunately, I didn't buy in. But then later, 2017, 18, when I was entrepreneur, then I really got interested. I would say first got interested about blockchain, tokenizing assets and so forth. But from there, I mean, it's been just one rabbit hole, and luckily I just managed to get to LocalBitcoins, which is really a great company. And now, of course, now I can work on things that I really like, which is just amazing.
Yeah, but that's great. I mean, when you say you started in 2017, 18 to dig
Yeah.
deeper into Bitcoin, and I think you started in March 2020 at Local Bitcoins.
Yeah, roughly. So a little bit over half a year. Yeah.
So that was quite fast from being interested into Bitcoin and being the chief marketing officer at the world's biggest peer-to-peer marketplace.
Yeah, well, you might say so, but it was already say early 2018. I decided, well, at that time I was working on other businesses, but I decided I really want to work on this business.
Mhm.
Since you're putting like 8 hours a day on your daily job, it's good that the job is something that really inspires you. And I started looking on a small companies that were working on a cryptocurrencies, blockchain space, and so forth. So I have been looking for a perfect opportunity. But obviously, I mean, in this business, like cryptocurrency business, the biggest opportunities are usually on the fiat gateways. So exchanges, peer-to-peer marketplaces, and so forth. The industry still have so much to develop. But I mean, it's quite amazing that I actually managed to get this job then in the end.
Yeah, great. So, and I found that you also wrote a book. You're the author of
Yeah.
a book called How to Profit from China.
Yeah.
The only book you need to start investing profitably in Chinese stocks. So, when did you write that book, and is it still a recommendation? Can people still, is it still like a recent book? I mean, can you still use it today?
I think you can. I mean, I wrote it in 2016. That's when I set up my own startup, which was focusing on. It was a kind of automated stock robot, if you may,
Hmm.
or kind of a stock analytics company, and it was focusing on Chinese stocks. And obviously that writing that book was part of my marketing, so marketing material, but it was also a very how would I say, it was a one way to open doors. So I went talking about my company for lots of these big investors, and like people who have hundreds of millions and so forth. And usually when I went talking about my business idea, the first question was like, what do you know about investing, or what do you know about China? And of course, when you hit the book in their hand, the discussion changes completely. And it was like, okay, so when did you go first time into China? Where should I invest? But overall, like it's written in 2016. So some of the data might be a little bit outdated. But overall, like when we talk about investing into China or any other asset class or place, it's about the big strategies, and I think those are very valid still today. I haven't read the book for a couple of years, but I would say that if you are not familiar with how China operates and where the big investment opportunities are, I mean that book still provides lots of value for you.
I read in the book that you say people are the most important thing when investing in stocks. Your success
Yeah.
is heavily dependent on the competence and honesty of the company's management. Now, with Bitcoin, that has drastically changed.
Uh, well, of course, I mean, if you think about just Bitcoin as an investment class, so I mean, Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO, and obviously, it's not it's a little bit different than investing in stocks. Like when you invest in stocks, you are really buying into that business and investing on the underlying cash flows and so forth. With Bitcoin, you're investing on the well, whatever your investment thesis is. But I mean, if you believe that this will be the future of money, future independent monetary system, and it will grow like this, I mean, that's your investment thesis then. But I mean, with the stocks, whether it's a Chinese company or any other company for that matter, of course, there is the vision of the company, there's the underlying business, but then of course there's also the management and employees and so forth, and they really need to, how would I say, they really need to share your values. They really need to think about your best because you're giving money essentially for the company and the management. So you really need to trust them. With Bitcoin, yeah, you don't have to trust anyone.
You just have to trust these mathematical rules and the
Yeah.
governance system and everything. Yeah. Um, you just spoke about the investing thesis that this is different for every single person, of course. What's your investment thesis in Bitcoin?
Well, I see a very interesting question. But I mean, for me, Bitcoin is money and monetary system. And like, I don't believe that Bitcoin will make dollar or euros obsolete. But I do believe that it will grow into this kind of independent monetary system, which will be operating alongside euros and dollars. And of course, I mean, based on that, you can just well, we have a lot of different valuations for Bitcoin, but I mean, if you believe that it will actually be successful, independent monetary system, money, then well, you can make a number. It will be a big system, and that's what I believe. I believe that there will be euros, there will be dollars, but there will be also independent monetary systems at some point in future.
Let's talk a little bit about local bitcoins and also the year 2020. How many you have about 6 million customers worldwide, as far as I know. What are other numbers that you can tell us about the company? How did 2020 work out for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we are still on 2020. This has been a weird years in so many weird ways with the COVID and stuff. Anyway, but if I look at like at the core business numbers, we will be getting roughly 1.5 million new customers this year, which is just an amazing number. So roughly every single day we get 4 to 8 thousand new customers from all over the world. And if I look at the trade volumes, maybe this year we will roughly end up in maybe $2.5 billion trade volume globally. And obviously, I mean, we are a global company, so there's lots of fluctuation happening. At the moment, there's Latin America, Africa growing, then maybe Eastern Europe is coming a little bit down. What else? Other numbers would there be? Like I said, like we actually checked just recently. We have onboarded people just this year from 189 countries. It could be that we have customers from more countries than that, but only this year we have onboarded people from that many countries. And you know, as a company, I mean, we are Helsinki based. We're not startup. We are scale up. But I mean, we have roughly 70 employees at the moment, and which is quite amazing. Like we are international company, but when you look at our employees, we have employees from 30 different countries, like 30, which is just amazing. Like so, we are completely international company at the moment, although headquartered in Helsinki.
Okay, so people can work from everywhere, basically. Do you have other offices in other countries, or do they work from home in a way?
Well, at the moment, everybody's working from home.
Yes.
I'm the only one in the office. But yeah, so we have one small office in Mexico. I think 7 to 8 people working there. We have one small office in Kenya,
Mhm.
and I think then everybody's just working from home. Like we have people working from different countries, but I mean they're just working from their home offices.
Mhm. What were the big trends in this year? I mean, you mentioned COVID before. Do you think that this really has brought in new people?
Um, I That's a good question. I do think so, and we of course look at the data, but we also interview our bigger traders a lot, or people who have been coming here. Like I've been talking with say 10 to 30 10 to 20 of our traders this year. And for example, in Africa, I have been like a couple of months ago, I was talking with a few of our traders in Kenya, and they do say that the COVID has hit really hard. Obviously it has hit hard everywhere, but there is no really jobs. Like people really need to find out to make extra income some way, and obviously trading Bitcoin is one way to do it. I mean, have we got much more customers because of COVID? That I'm not sure, but we have got some customers because of COVID.
Mhm, mhm. Can you tell us a little bit about the global picture that local Bitcoins sees on Bitcoin usage? I think you have made some experience, or you have experience like in the different continents of the world. Trading Bitcoin or using Bitcoin is seen differently. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and we have a different ways of using Bitcoin. Like every single country, like in Finland, there's lots of hodlers, but there's lots of traders. There are people who are using it for paying stuff. Uh, Even for remittance, it's probably used in Finland. But in different continents, of course, different use cases they kind of get highlighted. And what we see from our data, as well as of course by just talking to our customers, is that I mean Europe, US, mainly hodlers, but I mean of course when it comes to local bitcoins, we have a huge amount of market makers from UK and US who just make the market and make money by trading. But then Eastern Europe payments, they are using Bitcoin much more for buying and paying stuff.
Uh-huh.
And Africa, I mean Africa, Eastern Africa, Kenya, and so forth, lots of trading, and Western Africa, maybe Nigeria, Ghana. We will see lots of more remittance. So and the money flows or Bitcoin flows usually go from US to Nigeria. Uh, and that's just a easier and cheaper way of sending Bitcoin, sending money from country to another country. And Latin America, I mean, alternative currency. There's of course we have countries which unfortunately are having a trouble at the moment, economical trouble, political trouble. There's some kind of uh, currency controls in many of the countries. So Bitcoin obviously provides a pretty good way of accessing the international markets
Mhm.
there.
You just mentioned currency controls. I was in Zimbabwe earlier that year. How are you operating in Zimbabwe or for users from Zimbabwe or not?
I would say yes. I would need to check it. I mean, unless it's not in some of the big sanction lists, then we would be serving customers from Zimbabwe also. I would, on top of my head, I would say yes, but I would need to check it.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about Latin America. Um, You said remittance is one of the bigger use cases. The average cost for remittance in general in the traditional system, I think, are like 5 to 10%. For some countries, it's even 20% or something like that. What are the costs for a local Bitcoins user for remittances?
Well, it depends from country to country, but as an average, it's between 2 to 5% if you use Bitcoin and local Bitcoins. I think we actually checked. We are like observing this really heavily or often, because this is definitely one of the key use cases for us and local Bitcoins. And I think from US to Venezuela to Colombia, Argentina, and so forth. Like we are just talking about 2 to 3%, which is the fee, like all the fees included there. So it's much cheaper than using official or traditional channels, assuming that they are even available. And if you think about the traditional channels, they always use the exchange rate, which is the official. But then again, official exchange rate many times is not the real. Like in many countries, well, I mean, Nigeria is one example. Official exchange rate is something like here, but no local person wants to take that one. So there's also the real exchange rate. And Bitcoin and local Bitcoins, they use the real exchange rate, not the official.
Mm-hmm. The real exchange rate that is determined by the traders, the peers, in a way.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
market.
yeah, the market.
Yeah, the market, people.
Yes. Okay. Great. And can you tell us a little bit more about the different countries like Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil? Yeah. So these three bigger ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, starting from Venezuela, I think Venezuela is growing fast. It's a big market for us. I think it's second or third biggest at the moment alone. And obviously, I mean, everybody knows the situation in Venezuela. It's just horrible. It's difficult to even imagine for people like us living in Europe, like what kind of situation it is. With all the shortages of food, electricity, and so forth. But I mean, we have a we have a smart people. First of all, we have lots of Venezuelans moved outside the Venezuela, and maybe they are earning salaries in different countries, whether it's in Colombia or US or so forth, and they have their families, people who they need to support back in Venezuela. So transferring money from A to B, from one country to back to Venezuela, that's definitely one use case there, and having a store. I mean, if you actually have some extra income in Venezuela, you definitely don't want to hold it in bolivars. So store of value, alternative currency. There's so many use cases. Venezuela is actually one of the country that we interview our traders there a lot. Like I have been having many calls with our Venezuelan bigger traders, but, well, also a little bit smaller ones, but still well-to-do compared to the average. But it's just amazing, like how like smart people, they have a big problems there, but they're smart people and they're looking ways to solve them, like real world things. And it's just so encouraging. And so basically Bitcoin just provides something that, like, the government is not providing, like, any access. They're not even giving a stable financial, like, environment. So Bitcoin is actually coming in and providing what usually governments provide.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the trading volumes are going big, and because the trading volumes are going big in Venezuela, they are also going big or increasing on all the countries where you have lots of Venezuelans moved. And also, of course, I mean, this is peer-to-peer trading. So if you have lots of demand in one country, then of course, from other countries you need to have market makers coming in. So one country picks up, usually the neighboring countries also follow.
Now, that's interesting. That's because people move to other countries and then send money back to their relatives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So that's a great example of the network effect of Bitcoin also.
It is, and that's also a great example how Bitcoin is not just for hodlers. It's actually something that solves real world problems, and like it really provides value for people. So I think Latin America is a great example in so many ways of the what probably comes in future also in other places.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Argentina. What is special, or what can you tell us about the situation in Argentina?
Oh, what can I tell? Well, I would be good to have a Argentinian trader or somebody here. Probably could give you a better view. Like my view, obviously, is a very much database and based on a few interviews. But of course, data also tells a lot. But I mean, Argentina. Not to the same extent as Venezuela, is also having quite a lot of economical turbulence. Unfortunately, there, I think their central bank even made limitations that you cannot buy Bitcoin with the credit cards and so forth. So, to a certain extent, there is capital controls, although probably not officially, and transferring money to and from the country, having a kind of a stable store of value. I mean, compared to the local currencies, Bitcoin is a very stable currency. So again, it's providing alternative to the local monetary system. And Argentina people, I would say, this goes to many of Latin American countries. Like first of all, they are, how would I say, they are technically very literate. So meaning that whether it's a smartphones or any technology, so they are willing to adapt it if it solves some of their problems. Like they are not kind of against new things, and I would say also like in most many of these countries, like how would I say, they are kind of very well educated. Many of them speak both Spanish and English, and they're providing their services also for international markets. Obviously, when they find the buyer, they one of the ways to get the payment for the services is Bitcoin and local Bitcoin. So, kind of getting paid also through Bitcoin. That's something that we can see happening on that area.
And can you tell us something about the trading volume? I think you saw some spikes.
Spikes. I think when I'm looking on Latin America in generally, I think we have been growing to 200 to 300% there this year. I would
Wow.
have to check again, but I mean the trading volumes are growing nicely there. In Argentina, of course, if we look from the beginning of the year, it would be probably also 2 to 3 fold. So it's increasing. Obviously, not the same way as in Venezuela or maybe even Colombia. But I mean, there is a clearly the demand is picking up, and when I'm looking at our new customer numbers, that's also increasing quite a lot in most of the Latin American countries.
And last but not least, let's talk about Brazil. I mean, it's a huge country too. What have you seen there?
Well, yeah, Brazil is a huge country. It's a little bit different as far as we can see from many of the other Latin American countries. I mean, first of all, it's just so big there, and I would say, like compared to, for example, Argentina, Venezuela, and so forth, like their economy is still fairly stable. So there is not that kind of a big driver for alternative monetary systems. But then again, of course, when the Bitcoin demand and trading is picking up on neighboring countries, then that, of course, opens opportunity for new market makers, and actually it creates a demand for new market makers. And like in Brazil, what we see is that the big number of new users that come to our local Bitcoins, they actually are traders. So trying to look for making some extra income by just trading and making the market for other countries.
Okay.
So I would say traditional market maker as far as we can see it now from the data.
I mean, a general question, if I want to trade on local Bitcoins, do I need any formal application, or can I just go there and start?
No, well, we do KYC. So, I mean, obviously, you need to do normal identification, create account, do identification, and so forth.
Yes, but I don't have to be a trader in a way, like a business or something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 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 no. Anyone can become a trader, and yeah, just like
What
any exchange,
what
you
I
can become.
what I always wonder with the word trading used in local bitcoins, do you also trade, or do you say trade to when just somebody wants to buy some bitcoin one time?
Uh, that's a very good question because at the moment we try to classify people, and traders are those who do, I don't know, let's say 10 trades a month, who actually act like market makers there, like try to benefit from the arbitrage and make the arbitrage smaller. But yeah, I mean, those who just come there, buy Bitcoin just because they have heard about Bitcoin and it's much more stable than the currency, that's not really a trader. That's a customer who buys Bitcoin.
Yeah, because I'm always wondering about trading volume and such. If there is any differentiation there. I mean, I guess you don't know. I mean, maybe you could differentiate in between one-time customers or traders.
Yeah, yeah, we could, and we try to do it because obviously it's those who come and buy only once. They probably have a completely different use for that
Mhm.
as compared to the traders who sit there 8 hours a day and make just the money by trading. So I mean, whole different use cases, and also we need to serve them a little bit differently.
Mhm. And what's the trend? Do you see people cashing out more often? And mean with cashing out, I mean taking their Bitcoin from the local Bitcoins wallet into their own non-custodial wallet?
I don't think there is a big trend. Um, like, well, if I just look at this year, like, I think the amount of Bitcoin we are holding is pretty stable or pretty much the same. We do see that like the most people who take their Bitcoins out from local Bitcoins, they actually transfer them to the bigger exchanges like
Oh.
Binance, Huobi, and so forth. So these guys are probably those big traders
Mhm.
who are balancing between the arbitrage and making the market.
Okay, interesting. I mean, but for a customer, like somebody who wants to buy a little bit of Bitcoin here and there,
Yeah.
what are you recommending? I mean, what's the best way to start using Bitcoin, or maybe to store it or to trade?
Yeah, well, I mean, and of course, you need to think about that. The ones who come to local Bitcoin, they probably are a little bit different than me and you or the normal hodlers. Like for example, if the use case is remittance, and we have a Nigerian who is sending money from US to Nigeria, they don't actually care about Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is just a way to sending money from US to Nigeria, and basically Bitcoin acts just as a token there. So you put US to the Bitcoin, and then the Bitcoin goes to the Nigerian naira. So it's just used as a means to transferring money from one place to another.
Mhm.
Obviously, there is a couple of trades happening. So the Nigerian in US needs to buy that Bitcoin, but again, it doesn't care about whether it's my keys or custodial. It's just like I want to send money to my relatives in Nigeria. So in that sense, like it's a very different thing in our business than, for example, for exchanges. But overall, like we recommend that have your keys, not your keys, not your bitcoins. But I mean, if you decide to have it in our escrow, fine. Like we'll hold it for you.
Yeah, and I think you never had any leak or breach or something like that.
As far as I know, never.
Yeah, yeah. And you're operating since when? 2011 or 2012?
2012. So we have been here almost as long as Bitcoin. So and I mean, of course, I mean, we are constantly, just like every single exchange. I mean, those are the honeypots that everybody tries to hack. Like we are also constantly under attack. But I mean, we are investing heavily on our security, and we have been here very long time. So we are pretty good what we are doing. Obviously, we invest even more. However, I mean, if you're a hodler, you have a bigger amounts. I mean, have your keys then.
Yeah,
Take
sure.
your bitcoins out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, another question regarding the company, do you actually hold Bitcoin inside the company as an asset?
Yeah. So a little bit about local bitcoins, the business model. So first of all, we don't touch fiat currencies. All of our income is in Bitcoin. So if you think about last year, uh, what was our revenue was 27, 28 million euros. I mean, all of that revenue actually comes in Bitcoin, and we only exchange to fiat currencies certain amount to pay the salaries, pay the office, and so forth. But overall, like we like Bitcoin, so we change into Bitcoin only that much that we need to run the operations.
Okay,
But
great.
otherwise,
And
we are.
sorry, and can employees like you decide if you want to be paid in Bitcoin or in fiat?
Yeah, you can. At the moment, actually, nobody gets paid in Bitcoin. We have some people got. I actually want to get paid Bitcoin soon. It sounds so cool. But it was say half a year ago. There was some kind of, I don't actually know exactly, but from accounting perspective, it became fairly burdensome. So at the moment, it's not recommended, but it's being fixed. And once it's fixed, like I will be taking part of my salary in Bitcoin, and so will many others.
Yeah, I think it's a question of a basic setup in the organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk a little bit about the future plans, plans for 2021 for local Bitcoins. What are you up to?
Well, some of the key things, and as I said, like since establishing marketing in local bitcoins, but I think even before that, like the key thing is to just to understand what our customers want and how we can serve them better. A few of the things that always comes up from our customer base is that you need to have a mobile applications, Android and iPhone both. You need to refresh your website, make it more user friendly, and look something from this decade. And so we will be releasing our first mobile applications early next year, very early next year. And we are of course refreshing our website, doing lots of user studies how we can improve it, kind of remove any bottlenecks there might be. So better looking, more user friendly website. We of course, I mean, we started doing KYC sometimes. Was it September 2019? So over a year ago. However, it's like we still need to improve it. We have people who are in the verification lines like weeks or even month, which is not okay. So we need to. I mean, there's lots of internal things that we can improve. Again, make the customer experience much better. But just focusing on the customer, bringing what they actually need, and bringing better value. That's what we will be focusing.
You just mentioned KYC. I mean, I understand why you do it, but how can somebody in, I say, Uganda without an ID use local Bitcoins?
If you don't have ID, then it's very difficult because we do the KYC. You need to have some kind of, and usually you will need to have a passport. Many people they do have IDs, but honestly, if you don't have ID, it's a very difficult to use.
So you
Anyway.
basically need a peer or a friend who sends you Bitcoin or enables you to access it in a way.
Maybe, and of course, I mean, if somebody sends you, well, you need to have an account, and for the account, we do KYC. So you cannot be our customer without ID.
Yeah, but maybe my friend has an ID and is a customer at Local Bitcoins, then I can use this way maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, that's great. And now let's get a little bit back to you again. I would be interested in what you think are the important trends at the moment in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, if I look from Bitcoin perspective first, I mean there is a or local Bitcoin's perspective is that I think we are increasingly seeing Bitcoin used in like solving real world problems, whether it's sending money from one place to another and so forth. And I think that usage is just increasing because we have the early adopters are doing it, and they of course tell for their friends and neighbors and so forth that this is better way to do it. So that will of course drive adoption quite a lot. Um, then, interesting. I mean, I do follow also global news, just like probably you, so forth. We have the micro strategies and so forth. So we see that Bitcoin is being finally accepted as the reserve currency, or whatever for a bigger corporations. So that's definitely something that will first of all that will drive demand, but I mean that will also be kind of eye opener for the mainstream media, that we actually have these trusted, well established companies actually are putting their treasuries on Bitcoin. I mean that's one of the thing. I do think. Well, Bitcoin adoption will keep on growing. I mean, it will keep on growing regardless whether we make the all-time highs or not. And honestly, I'm not even, I don't even care about it because it doesn't matter what's the Bitcoin price. It still solves certain problems, and there's lots of adoption happening. Um, but yeah, I do think that the Bitcoin will get increasingly kind of media attention because of these many of these things. And then probably next step is that we have our politicians and so forth waking up that man, this is actually going to happen. There will be a third or independent monetary system developing here, and they will try to figure out how to regulate it or minimize the damage that there might be for the traditional financial system. So those are at least a few of the things that I see happening within the next 1 to 2 years.
Interesting. Thank you for that. And for you personally, what are the plans? I've seen on Twitter you have a picture of a book that's coming. Are you writing that still, or is it on hold?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, long story short, I started writing my second book 3 years ago, and it was about ready already 1 year ago. But I have rewritten it so many times. I started writing about blockchain and blockchain technologies because that's what I got really excited. But now it has emerged as investor or cryptocurrency investors book, how to value different kind of cryptocurrencies and how to approach them. Now it would just need a couple of weeks for my attention to finalize it. Let's see if I have a time to do it on Christmas holidays. But anyway, soon. It's almost ready. It's almost ready.
Okay, great. Interesting. So maybe we can have another interview talking about your new book.
That would be great. That would be great.
And I saw a picture of you running the, I think, Helsinki half marathon in 2018.
Oh
Are,
yeah, yeah.
are you having some sport challenges this year too?
Well, as a company, we wanna run X amount of kilometers every month, so everybody can contribute. I like to go running quite a lot. I have done maybe 5 full marathons, and well, lately I think full marathon is too much for me, but I will be doing half a marathons also next year. Not sure which one, probably Helsinki one. So if you're around, just come and join.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I'm not a runner, I'm a cyclist and swimmer, but you should join Team Satoshi then. Do you know you
I
local?
have heard about it. I have
Yeah,
heard.
in 2019 we made from Switzerland to Germany, a race, basically a free athlon with swimming, cycling, and running. And Local Bitcoin supported us. Vitus Zeller is the guy who started this all. And we're like, I would say 30, 40 people at the moment, a decentralized sports team to like bring like the idea of Bitcoin to the people. So yeah, you're invited to join, of course.
Hey, that sounds very good. Sounds very good.
Great. So thank you very much, Jukka. Is there anything you want to add that we haven't touched?
No, it's been my pleasure to be here. I think you have a great podcast, and it's an honor to be invited here.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. Where can people find and follow your work?
Well, I mean, I obviously, as a local Bitcoins marketing chief, follow local Bitcoins. So we are in Twitter, we are in Instagram, we are in YouTube. We are increasingly in YouTube. So please follow us in YouTube, and we are also in Facebook. So and probably the handle is at local Bitcoins for pretty much all the channels.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good idea to go onto your website and check the channels because there are so many impersonators of your accounts. That's a race in a way. You have to always like get them out again, huh?
Yeah, we are constantly fighting, and we are always reporting when we find uh, whatever fake Facebook accounts about local Bitcoins. And it is like there's a lots of them coming. So we do our best, and you also, if you find, just go ahead and report them. But I mean, there's a lots of people who just like to get your money and like to make fake accounts for trusted brands and so forth. So you just have to keep on fighting them. You cannot win it, but you just keep on reporting them.
And as a user, be aware of the scammers, yeah, and always verify on the website at www.localbitcoins.com that this is the right handle. So thank you very much, Jukka. I will put your links into the show notes and have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining today to learn more about Bitcoin. You can find the show notes for this episode on bitcoinundco.com. Subscribe now to my YouTube channel where you can find video recordings of all my interviews, and you can get the latest and most interesting stories in Bitcoin every Friday in your mailbox. Subscribe to Anita's Weekly at anita.link/subscribe. Thanks to my sponsors who make it possible for me to produce the show: LocalBitcoins.com, Shift Crypto with the Bitbox 02, and Coinfinity with the card wallet. See you next week when it's time for Bitcoin & Co. Bitcoin & Co. is produced by me, Anita Posch, with the editing help from Claire Saunders. Music: Start With Yes, Delicate Beats. Thanks for joining.